Welcome to the fifth vignette, and this vignette is focused on the principle around seeing competence, both in children and in ourselves. And I think we can both agree that the word competence has been in our vocabulary for as long as we can remember. And I think you and I, in our work, and certainly across North America, so many people have been inspired by the educators in Reggio Emilia, who really talked about a strong image of children and seeing them as capable and competent. And I know that there's a quote that we often use is, it's not enough just to declare this.
Right.
But we have to, change time, rules, experiences in order for the competent child to exist.
Right.
Or the competent adult.
Exactly.
Both.
Exactly. It often conjures up this question for me of, when we say the child is competent, what do we mean? What are we referring to? Competent at what? And I love entering into that question with different folks. And then to build on that, as we are thinking about the world that we live in, and as we are thinking about some of the challenges that we face, or some of the beautiful things that we want to do and create together as a community, starting to ask ourselves, what are the competencies that we want to nurture?
Exactly.
Especially, in this 21st century where the world is changing rapidly. And the lives that children are heading into are really different than the ones that we had.
And I love that you use the word nurture rather than teach, because do we feel it is our job to teach competence?
Yeah.
Right. And I know another big question that is, where do our ideas of competence even come from? Our own experiences, society, the checklists that we are offered, the developmental checklists that say a child is competent if, and so and also looking at children from a place, and adults, I think, does competence mean we, follow rules? What is the difference between competence and compliance? I think is an important question. We sort of push against, following all the rules, but sort of pushing against some of those ideas. And I think we're competent.
Yes,
rather than
we
compliant.
We do say that in jest, but I think that the idea of asking ourselves, do we want children to always follow the rules, no matter what? Do we want adults to always follow the rules, or do we want them to always break the rules?
And what could be problematic about that?
Exactly. And personally, I'm quite happy that there were a group of women in history that pushed back on the rule that women couldn't vote. And in one of our programs, one of the questions that they're working on with children is, what happens when bad people make rules?
Oh, I remember you telling me that story.
Yes, and the children are taking up this question together to know, and really what they're talking about is power structures and how they, and how competent a group of really young minds are when they can come together and think about really complex questions that have social consequences, and how different that is, how a different kind of competence that they're nurturing in that classroom, as opposed to the competent child who just does what they're told, or the competent educator who just does what they're told. Just because they were told, without questioning.
Right.
And how do we start to bring, how does the act of questioning find its place into our classrooms and into our ways of being with each other in a way that doesn't feel threatening, but rather opening and helps us to learn about each other, and maybe start to tease out some of the things that we've been asked to do as a society that might not be so helpful, or is not in a line with the kind of world that we want to live in, or the kind of people we want to be.
Or the kind of people we want to be. Yeah, I think when I think about this notion of competence in children and adults, one of the things that I'm always drawn on is who gets to decide what it means to be competent, and why.
Yes.
I think that whole idea of there are people out there that have an idea of what it means to be competent, also have this idea that they know what it means to be right.
Yes.
And we struggle so much with that idea.
Right.
There's so many ways of being in the world.
And aren't there so many different ways of being competent for different things?
Absolutely.
You know, and that's where I think as early childhood educators and in this field, that question of what are the competencies that we think are important in today's world, and how might we allow that to influence the decisions that we make in the classroom.
It goes back to that question that I think that we live with, we carry with us all the time, is what kind of world do I want to live in? And then how might I nurture the dispositions in myself and in others to be able to create that kind of world? And what is my role in that, right? Yeah.
So again, questions that we like to take up together, to offer, to invite other people in with us. And these are some of the things that we talk about at our institute. So hope to see you there.